Namaskar, I'm Ashok Vyas, and you see on the screen with me Padma Shri Dr. Sudhir Parikh. Namaskar, Doctor, welcome.
Namaskar, namaskar.
So as we meet after 4th July, and I understand you also participated on this 4th July in a convention organized by API. So let us begin by your experience of being a part of this API convention.
Well, yes, I was in Atlanta. We had a American API convention, annual convention, where almost 600 plus physicians were got together, and it was a great. After a year and a half, we met our own physician colleagues, friends, family members in that convention. So it was very, very, very exciting and very memorable convention last 3 days. And we celebrated Independence Day together. And in Independence Day, the celebration was very important for us because the country where we live and we work is also is a democratic is the oldest democracy, and country we came from is the largest democracy. And we are lucky that both the countries, the country of the birth and country of the work, both are a democracy, and so we are blessed by blessed for that. The convention was very great. Being a senior advisor to API, I was able to bring a chief guest for convention from India, the governor of Uttar Pradesh, which has population of the 200 million people, and government of the Madhya Pradesh is the same person. One Mrs. Anandiben Patel, who is the governor of Uttar Pradesh and governor of Madhya Pradesh, which is kind of to combine their populations is like a population of the America. So she came on live on the video and interacted with the physicians. There were 600 plus physicians were in the audience. I introduced her, and it was a great memory and great experience, and we all enjoyed. She's being here and appreciating all the doctors what our help during the second wave of COVID to the India, and she appreciated on behalf of government of India how the American doctors, particularly the American doctors of Indian origin, how much help we sent to India, and it was very appreciated.
Very, very good. And Doctor, as you mentioned about Anandiben Patel, she also served as Chief Minister of Gujarat, and you have been very active with various administrations, including Gujarat. And when we look at the process of democracy, it is not just the leadership, but the citizens also have certain important responsibilities. And on that front, right after 4th July, it is relevant to hear from you your experience of making sure that voice of Indian Americans is heard and we take active part as community in the political process of America. Kindly share your experience initially.
Yes, because this was kind of my what do you call a drive for our community, and tirelessly I'm working for that to empower the second generation, empower the first generation of the Indian American, make them to realize that it's very important to participate in the mainstream America, activities of the mainstream America, mainstream politics. Only unless you do that, you cannot claim a piece of pie of what America has to offer, and you cannot protect your community. You cannot excel in your in the country, and therefore it's very important, particularly for the second generation, to realize that we are American now, and we should be part of the American life and take part in the both political, social, culturally, and otherwise. So that's the only way to survive in any country for immigrants. And therefore, and I'm glad that we are doing very successfully. And now we can see that we have so many of our young Indian Americans are part of the US government working, state government working, and so forth. So I'm very glad to see that and very satisfying to see that.
Absolutely. And looking at the Indo-US relationship, you have been attentive on that front as well. Considering the announcement by White House regarding hosting the meeting of Quad leaders, and indeed the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi ji, would also be a part of that. They have not yet announced the dates, but talk to me about the significance of America taking the initiative of holding this Quad meeting and participation of India.
Well, Quad is a very good alliance. I mean, that is a real great democratic alliance, and America is taking initiative and hosting the meeting, and that way Quad countries, those who are member of the Quad, those countries can work together, put the strategy together, and 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 again they work against the forces like communism, or particularly in Russia or China, and therefore I think it's very important meeting, and it's good for economic growth of India. It is good for economic and social growth of India, and also it's good for America, because then America gets also very large upper middle class and middle class market for their own goods. So it's a win-win situation for all the country involved.
Absolutely. And Dr. One news which caught attention of many Indian news media and televisions had discussions on the advertisement of New York Times regarding the qualification of the reporter reporting from India for New York Times. And that suggested someone they are looking for should be critical of the current government. And there were many voices against the biased way that is openly being demonstrated by New York Times. Now, I request you to share your thoughts on two fronts. One, your response to this kind of, I would say, blatant and open way of seeking individuals who are anti-Modi, or somewhere in the hidden words that anti-Hindu also. But so that is one part, your response. Secondly, what should be the response of Indian American community to this kind of way openly projected by New York Times?
Well, I mean, if New York Times has projected openly, which is not truth, and which is not, which is kind of borderline untruth, then I think all Indian Americans should protest it and voice their displeasure to the New York Times editorial board. We did this about 20 years ago, when they wrote a big article in their Sunday magazine about that time Prime Minister Vajpayee ji, and the description of the Vajpayee ji, some description was very kind of putting him down and kind of not in a good taste. And we all went to, 10 of us went to see the editorial board. We met the senior editor of the New York Times, and we said that what you said is wrong. And we gave them a lot of documentation proving that what they written about our former Prime Minister was wrong. The same thing, I think, whenever any newspaper or publication outlet tells a wrong thing about our country, we all should aggressively and proactively should protest it.
Absolutely. I think that proactive approach, as well as playing your part as and when required as one voice of the Indian American community, happens thanks to leadership of people like Padma Shri Dr. Sudhir Parikh, I must say. And Dr. There is another important story which caught the attention of Indian media that relates to the way conversion of two Sikh girls happened in Jammu and Kashmir, and that raised multiple questions. So your general thoughts on again and again, so there is this term love jihad, as well as there are some people who seems to have made this as their lifetime mission to convert maybe Hindus to Muslim fold, Sikhs to Muslim fold, etc. So, generally, your impression.
Well, any forceful conversion or conversion without willingness of the individual, it's no, it's unacceptable, and therefore we should discourage them, we should criticize them, and we should protest them, and that's the only thing. And plus we should educate our children where they should understand that what they are doing is probably not in good taste and should not be done unless they willingly they want to do something. That's a different story, because everyone has right to do what they want to do in democracy. But if it is not with their consent or not with their willingness, then I think it should be deplorable, it should be condemnable.
Absolutely. And somehow not directly related, but in some distant way related story that came is related to the divorce, second time divorce of Mr. Perfectionist Amir Khan. And so his first wife was a Hindu, second one also. And he kind of maintained like 15, 16 years of marriage, the previous one also, and this one also. So people read a lot in this. And indeed, as you would say, and we would say that it's a personal choice, etc. But when you are in the public life, it definitely draws people's attention. And in general, if you want to make a comment about this development.
Well, I mean, it is personal life of the Amir Khan, but however, being when you are role model, when lot of young people are looking at you with respect and consider you as a mentor, then this kind of behavior may be a private behavior, but it has long term implication on the young generation and generation which can have kind of easily get impressed with their role model or their mentor or their people they kind of worship, and therefore I think all this kind of individual should refrain from acting as any other person can act, because their all actions and reactions is always watched very closely and people follow very closely, and that can give you sometimes wrong teaching to the young generation.
Absolutely, I understand and appreciate your concern, and it becomes even more interesting considering the fact that just maybe a few years ago he made a comment that my wife fears for her life, and we have that much intolerance in India. So that statement also was remembered by many people in this context. But as we move towards the concluding part of our conversation, I would also like to seek your input regarding the upcoming, probably by the time viewers watch this, Indian government has announced several new ministers, and some of them that we already are hearing about. That name is Jyoti Rao Scindia and the former Chief Minister of Assam, etc. So your general thoughts about this expansion, which was long overdue.
Well, I mean, midterm kind of correction or wholesome changes in the cabinet, it's known in all the governments, and usually their focus is on upcoming election in 2022 and 24, and accordingly they have to do certain kind of changes in the portfolios to make the portfolio more effective, make that ministry more effective, or sometimes they have to do it because of the political reason, because I mean all the governments nowadays, it's kind of depends on the other parties to survive, and therefore this kind of political maneuvering it's essential. And I think It's again, it's a prime minister's prerogative to whom to appoint and when to appoint. And of course, he's always looking for the interest, 100% interest of the nation. So I think this is not unusual. It happens every time, and it's good. And most of the time, it is good for country.
Absolutely, sir. This brings a new energy also in the Modi government with few new ministers, and we will have more on that next week. But Dr. Saab, as we conclude our session today, your parting words for our viewers.
Well, dear friends, I wish you all happy Independence Day, and enjoy the democracy, cherish the democracy. Because you are in democratic country, you are free to do whatever you like to do and you like to achieve, and therefore make sure that you cherish the democratic values, and please get vaccinated if still you are not vaccinated, which is very important to end this pandemic. So God bless Indian American, God bless America, God bless India. Jai Hind. See you next time.